Welcome back to another Josh K Guitar video. Josh here at your service. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do click the like and the subscribe buttons if you haven't already done so. Today, we're diving right back into Mick Goodrick's Almanac of Guitar Voice Leading. I'm doing this series because I've found that you can't find this book anymore. It's just not on the market, at least not for any price that's affordable. I think the cheapest one I found was $1,200 on eBay, so like you have to win the bid after that. So just don't even start. So that said, we're doing it here, and I'm covering one page in every one of these videos, so you can go ahead and screenshot and get access to some of this information because it's so essential for understanding voice leading and understanding harmony, and I think for understanding how to solo better, because when you want to solo better, you need to tell a story using a harmony. So that said, let's get right to it. Here's the book. I'm going to go ahead and point out, as it says right on the cover, and as I say in every one of these videos now, batteries are not included, and some assembly is going to be required. That means I'm not going to be using tabs. It is up to you to try to figure that out. That's part of the magic of this book. That's actually part of what he told me when he gave me this copy. So we are doing cycle sixes in the key of C major. Everything is in the key of C in this book. Sometimes you're in harmonic minor or melodic minor, but everything is based around C so that you can see the harmonies very easily. Now, cycle 6, here's what this means. It means we're going to be moving through triads, and every triad is going to move up a sixth in the scale to the next one. So these aren't up, each one of these isn't up a perfect major sixth, it's just up a diatonic sixth. So that said, we're going C to A minor, F, D minor, B diminished, G, and E minor. So, let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. That way you can screenshot at your convenience. Here's the top portion, and like I said, screenshot, because as I go through this, you are going to want to follow along, and I think that you're going to want to practice this later, so in that case, just have this available so that you can work through it. But this top section is the closed voicings. That means the notes are all really close together, and you know, rocket science, spread means the notes are going to be spread apart. So there's the bottom portion. Please screenshot that at your convenience. And then here's our MSRP. This is the fun melody that occurs as you go through these. Now notice, most of these are just kind of scales, like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, right? You have the option of skipping back to C or D on these changes. But what's really cool about these is it's not just the scale. When you consider where the notes fall within the chord progression, right, as it goes through the cycle, C, 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 D, 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 E, E, E. So those three C's, those happen over 3 chord changes, right? And then those 3 D's happen over 3 different chord changes. So that's interesting to follow that, because that melodic information is important as you're writing, because if you use that information, you're going to find that you have something that sounds like those chords, even if you're not playing those. And again, that's why studying this is so important for lead guitar as well as chord playing. So let's get right to it. I'm going to show you really quick before we begin a different way of practicing this. I'm not going to do this the entire way through the series because it would take forever, but I do like to show a little bit of a different way to practice these every time so that you can get a better gauge on what to do with this book, because there's no one way to do it. But in this practice method, let's turn off some effects. In this practice method, what you're going to be understanding is what happens on each sound. So say you're just getting started with your triads and you can't make it all the way through the full line. Or say you're just a musician who's working with a chord progression that has the change C major to A minor, or A minor to C major. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of songs that have that chord change, and if you include just general 1 to minor 6 chord change inside of a song, maybe millions. So it's worth just studying the sounds that are available just right within that chord change. And that's what we're going to do right now, is we're just going to, instead of moving through the line, we're going to study our triads just moving down. And not only are we going to understand the triads a little bit better, but we're going to understand the sounds that occur between the changes, which is such an important part of playing music. So let's start right here. We have C, E, G up top. And if you see, we have C and E staying in common between the changes, and we have G moving up to A. So that's C and E. Those two notes are going to stay the same. And then for the C, you're going to have G on top, and then up 2 frets to A for the A minor. So C major, A minor. For this practice, you'll want to figure out different ways of doing that as well. Maybe a low voicing. Maybe some high voicings. Right? Just different ways of playing root 3rd 5th to 3rd 5th root. Right? Or I should say flat 3rd 5th root. But that's the sound, is the movement happening on the top of the voice. So if you're playing C information, you can really hear the harmony even though I'm not playing any chords, right? Right? So I'm just playing again with the harmony that's there, and then you can find that this sound exists there, right? You can do the same thing here, right? Or here. Again, I'm just playing with that same information, that same sound, and getting it in a couple of different octaves, and that's the idea of this practice. Then we move to the next one down, right? So now we have E, C, G. So that's here. Now the same thing's going to happen. C and E stay the same. G moves up to A. The difference is now it's in the middle. So we had this. So we had this, where the harmonic information is on top, and now we have that where, excuse me, melodic information is in the middle. Right? You can do that here. E, G, C. Yeah? And then again, outside notes stay the same. Middle note, right? Same thing here. Right? So when this is on the top, there's a little bit of a different sound than when this is on top. Again, just slight difference, but it's an important one to notice because you can tell a little bit more of a story between those two chords if you work that. Then, when we're done with that sound, or we're done learning that sound, move to the next one, right? G, C, E. This time the 5th is in the bottom. G, right? Right? So now, instead of the top or middle note, the bottom note is middle. right? So when I'm emphasizing, that's my C chord. There's my A minor, right? Right? Again, same thing. Bottom note moving, right? Right? Again, same sound. Same sound. I'm just kind of, again, playing the bottom note as my melodic point this time. And it's giving me a slightly different result. Now let's move down here into the spreads. Here's where I find things get really interesting because we start moving. Now, we get into this thing, as I've said in other videos, of like moving in order through scales and through triads and through stuff like that. So what's really cool is when you can spread things apart so that you're covering more territory on the instrument. Now, I'm going to preface this. Situation matters a lot, right? So and this is very general speaking, but a lot of the time when I'm playing with a larger group, if there's 5 people or more, I'll play more of these closed triads because I don't want to take up too much sonic space. I want to leave room for everybody else to play. But if I'm playing like solo guitar or a duo, trio, stuff with a smaller ensemble, I'll play more spread voicings because I need to fill the space for the band to sound more full. So it's a conscious decision that you start to make. And again, as you study this stuff, you get really, really good at busting it out on the gig when you need to. I also find in those like larger band situations, sometimes the spread voicing stuff is great for when you develop further into your solo, right? Because I might start with a small territory. But then as I play more, right, like I move into there because it sounds bigger, and I know that my band hopefully is going to leave me room to do that, you know, and I trust them. Spread voicings are a great place to develop that vocabulary because they're literally just taking all the information that you already know and spreading it out. So we start with, instead of C, E, G, we take that middle E and we raise it up an octave. So instead of this, I'm going to get this. Or you can even do that, right? Or all of those are possible, right? And what's happening, again, same note is moving. G up to A. So here, we move here. And I like to use same string for lead guitar. Right? Because it helps to form little lines like that. But if I'm comping, playing chords, I might do that. Play the A there instead of here. It was easier fingering, less of a spread. You do have to work on making this note and this note sound kind of consistent to each other because they're on different strings and this is a different thickness, so it sounds a little warmer. But that said, that's the sound, right? 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 Really interesting, you know? And again, different sound, but same notes. So I'm just spreading them out a little bit differently. So then, next sound, right? E, C, G. So I really love that one a lot. Now our top note is moving, so G to A. depends on if you want them, you can get them to sound together. Right, just a little bit of a different thing going on. Yeah? Right? So now, moving on to the last one. G on the bottom, E, C, and G on the bottom is going to move to our A. So again, that's the sound. Really, really fun to play with. And again, you get kind of a vocabulary for what it sounds like to move around within that territory. So that said, I'm just going to go through the cycles now, blaze through them as fast as we can. But like I said, take screenshots of that page before and work your way through these. And I find this method of playing these and practicing these all the way through really, really helpful for learning how to play more real music. Because a lot of time playing through cycles is very scale-ish. Even though it sounds better than scales, it's still like sounds a little music student-y. Yeah, so it's better to just explore what the sound is, find what you like, play with that, and then when you need something else, come back. And again, there's no like learning this overnight. I studied one page of this for like 5 minutes every day for 4 years while I was in Berkeley, and that really, really helped me to understand that. And I didn't do it every day since graduating, but I pick it up sort of every time I feel like I just need a brain workout and a brain exercise, which happens a lot. So doing that really, really helps me. And forcing myself now with this series to do them twice a week is really, really proving to be beneficial. I'm having a lot of fun on the gig, and it's just very automatic these days. So that said, let's get right to the cycles. I'm going to start down low so that I can move up the neck, because we are moving in an upward direction the entire way. So, that said, I'm going to start with this C, and again, G is going to move up to A. We just covered that with this whole thing, but that's our change, right? Now from here, we're moving to an F major. In this change, C and A are the common tones. We're going to leave those the same, and E is going to move up to F. That's the middle note. All right, so far. From here, we're moving to D minor. So, top two notes are going to stay the same, F and A. But C on the bottom is going to move up to D. And again, I would like do these in different inversions and everything so that you can really learn the fretboard well on a deep level. From D minor, we're moving to B diminished. So from here, D and F stay the same. A moves up to B. From here, B diminished moves up to G. So that's our F in the middle. From there, bottom note now moves. You'll notice that in each one of these, it's only one note that moves. And that's just, again, that proper voice leading when your chords move this way. A lot of the time you'll notice if you really analyze chord changes in a song, you can go through most of those chord changes without moving very many frets, even if the root is wildly different. Then we're at E minor, and we're going to be moving now to the next line, right? So back around to C. And in that case, right, G and E and G, I should say, they stay the same, and B moves up to C. Now again, we're just moving those same ones. So G is going to move up to A, then E is going to move up to F, right? Then C is going to move up to D. So every time a different voice moves. So here, middle note, G up to A. From here, bottom note, E up to C. And again, it's a different sound because we have this here. And down here we had... So it's a little bit more subtle of a change when the note is in the middle of the chord. Whereas the bass note actually changes there. So it's a little more apparent. And then on the top, when the top note changes, like here, C moves up to D to move from F to D minor. It sounds a little more melodic. Like, kind of like that could be, like you could play that all over an F chord. Right? Like, it's fun to play with that, right? As you're comping and trying to figure things out, right? Right? So, top note moves here. Here, now we're going to get that subtle one. The middle note's going to move. When I say subtle, you can still hear the chord change, but it's maybe not as melodic or as heavy of a change as within the top or the bottom. Unless you really emphasize that. You can do like... Right? I play the outside notes really soft and then emphasize those middle notes, right? Again, always think about what your situation is and then you can play accordingly. But there's B diminished, right? A moving up to B between that F minor chord and B, diminished. Then from there, we're going to G, so our bottom note. Top note moves. So now we get that melodic thing again. So D up to E. And then from there we're moving to line 3. Middle note, B up to C. So now we're on that third line here. I'm going to move this down the fretboard a little bit just so that we have lots of room for my acoustic guitar players so you don't have to play all the way up here. But it's the same voice. G, C, E, G, C, E. So, again, G is going to move up to A. Then E up to F. So now we're on our F major chord. Then from F major to D, C is going to move to D. Middle note. Then we get B diminished. I love the bottom note moves a lot for comping. Really fun. Then from B diminished, we move up to G, so that's here. Then G moves to E minor. D moves to E for that change. And that should be our middle note here. And then our bottom note moves back up to C. anyways, let's get into these spread voicings. We're going to start, again, C, G, E. And again, just the middle note moves here, G to A. I'm going to show the easy to play. And then I'm going to play like a lead voicing. So there's C to A. From here we're going to have A minor to F. Right? You can play that here. Now from here we're moving to D minor, so bottom note moves. Or, right? Then from here, D minor moves to B diminished. Or, alright, all same notes. Then from there, we're going to G. So top note moving. Alright, or. Alright, then we get G to E minor. So bottom note moves. All of those work. And there we get E minor to C, so B. I love these. Using a lot of spread content there, and again, that kind of fills it out more, especially with a nice reverb and a delay. So anyways, we're here. Second line, right? We have E, C, G, and then our top note, G, is going to move to A. Right? You can play that here. You can play it here. Play there. You can play it there, right? All kinds of different ways to do this. If you can reach that, or play it there as well. Alright, so E, C, G, A. Right, then from there our E moves up to F. Or, right, or, right. From there we're moving to D minor, so we can go there for chords, or if we're doing lead, we can do that. There's so many different options for how to play these things. But we're on D minor here, moving to B diminished. So this, I like that for chord playing, or for a lead. Maybe that, right? If you want a little mix, right? But there's your D minor to B diminished, and then that's going to move B diminished, which could be here. And that's the sound. B diminished moving to G major, right? moves up to E, right? Or, right, E minor, and then to C. And now we've moved to the last line. So now we're on this last line. Congratulations if you've made it this far. Now here, our G is going to move up to A, right? Alright, so G up to A, and that's going to give us our C major to A minor sound. Right? Then we're going to move that up to F, so E in the middle is just going to move up a fret. Right? That's our sound. You can do that here. All of those work. There's our F, and then that's going to move up to D. Or, right? And now we're on our D minor chord. From there, you're going to move the bottom note, A to B. And then we're going to have a nice B diminished chord. From here, F moves up to G, giving us a nice G triad. And then D moves up to E then, from our G chord, and then we get our E minor. And then, one final move and we're done. B up to C, and we've got all of those sounds. And again, it's all the same notes all the way through. Everything is in the C major scale, but the different voicing where we put it inside of every chord tells a little bit of a different story. So I love to try and use that within my solo content, within my harmony, and within comping. Everything that I do, that I play with, I try to include some of this concept in there because it really does tell a slightly different story. So that said, that's all for today. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. If you have, please do click the like and the subscribe buttons, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm going to play my way out.